Welcome everybody to Between Two Pastries. This is Nicole.
Hey everyone, it's Annie.
Today we have a lovely panel of guests, and we are here to talk about body image and being a mom, being pregnant, and kind of all of the above. And so, if you've been kind of following us this year, we have been doing, Annie and I have been doing a lot of body image type podcasts, interviewing some different people around it, in addition to just talking about some separate topics concerning body image that we're seeing out there too. So we thought this would be an excellent one to go through, especially because sweet Annie just had her baby. And so she's super fresh with experience and anger and angst. So,
Well, there's anger involved. But I want to make sure men stay tuned and listen to this because this is really, really important for men to hear as well.
yeah,
This
yeah,
is not just about a lady podcast
yeah.
for this episode. It's really, really important that men understand because they can't necessarily feel what we're going through, but they can understand it and try to, sympathize. So,
Yeah, yeah, or just have some awareness then when they are,
yep, yep.
relating with, other females in regards to things. So we thought we would kick it off with having everybody introduce themselves, and Annie requested to be introduced. So Annie, my love, I'm going to start with you.
So, no, I wanted to participate in this group or this particular podcast because I think it's important again that everyone share their experience. So the three women we have, and then I'll include myself in there time and again, we're all at different stages, right? So for me, I'm at a point where Alex is 4 months old, 4 months years old. And I'm still I'm still nursing or pumping, and I pump 9 times a day, and I'm wiped, and I want everyone to understand what exactly that means, and being up 3 times during the night, and what sleep looks like, and what it doesn't look like, and how that impacts our female body, our brain, our everything, and the aging process, and just everything around that. So that's what I would like to contribute today, and the stage at which I'm at, and part of me is like, I just want this to be over. I'm going to pay all the money for formula. And then I'm not doing that. I have a freezer full of breast milk, which is
Mm,
phenomenal. And I feel a lot of guilt to stop at any point, and I hate that I have to continue.
mhm.
So it's really a battle. So that's going to be my contribution today for sure. So I'm going to pass it on, Tracy. I'm just going to move over in the in the pictures.
So I'm Tracy and I have an 8-year-old and I dealt with a lot of the same things that you're talking about. Mine's kind of reversed though, and I couldn't breastfeed. And so breastfeeding helps you to lose weight. So that part's fabulous for your body, but you're exhausted, you're tired. And I had the same guilt that I couldn't provide the nutrients my daughter
Mhm.
needed.
Mm,
So there was a lot of guilt. I don't know if you've ever read a formula bottle, but it says breast is best. And it's like,
mm,
well, thanks. Thanks for reminding me that. I'm going to buy this and it's not the best thing. So that was a
Mhm.
big thing that played a role in my emotional and my physical. Breastfeeding, lactating is huge. I
mm.
mean, it defines you at this point in your journey. But so yeah, anyway, I have an 8-year-old and always tired too, even though I'm not lactating. But it's a constant battle with being a mom, body image, all the things. It unfortunately, I don't think it ever ends.
Yeah, yeah. And in particular, when you became pregnant and then started gaining weight, what had happened for you?
Um, there is a huge emotional component to it, because I've always had issues with food and my weight. Um, from grade school when I was too skinny and was teased to when I gained weight in college. And so one of the things that's interesting to my story, and it's taken me a long time to admit this, is I never wanted to be a mom. I didn't want to be pregnant. I didn't want to have a baby.
Mhm.
And while London was planned, um, we decided one day that I was going to try and get pregnant. And then the next day I was pregnant. So she was really planned.
Yeah.
But it was like, whoa, and then you also have feelings of guilt for all these women that have tried to get pregnant and
Mm,
can't. So anyway, so with that being said, I wasn't in love with the idea of being a mom. And then you have all of these things, hormones, first of all, but then you have all of this weight and it's like, look what this baby's doing to me.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's the female mind is so complex.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So yeah, it was a journey. It was a journey in all different levels, but definitely in body image. When I started putting on all of this weight, when I had my baby, I'm only 5'3", was 180 pounds.
Mhm.
I was in a buffet for Thanksgiving and some woman asked me if I was having twins.
Mm-hmm.
I was 6 months pregnant. I
Mhm.
burst into tears
Mhm.
and it was like, and we're so judged. Why would you ever say that to somebody? Why would you
Right.
ask somebody if they're having twins?
Right.
And I had another woman that I work with who was like, it looks like you're having an elephant. Why would you say that to somebody?
Really?
Yeah.
That's
Well,
true.
finally, my manager stepped in and was like, listen, lady, like, back off. But yeah,
Wow.
I mean, like, what
What's
kind of
wrong with
judgment?
people? Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
Ugh.
not judgment. So, yeah, it was kind of an interesting journey.
Yes. Thank you, Tracy.
Yeah. I'm gonna hold my commentary back until
Yeah,
we're done with
right.
introductions.
Where we'll unleash. Yeah,
Otherwise, Emily's gonna introduce herself in like 40
that's
minutes.
right.
All right, Emily,
My
go
cue.
for it.
Was that my cue? Hi, I'm
Yeah.
Emily. I am almost 29 weeks pregnant. First time mom, age 42, IVF pregnancy. Completely planned, however, never prepared, I don't
Yeah.
think.
No.
Well said.
As a ultra runner athlete, this has been quite the journey for me. My favorite thing is these little charts that they give you with your
Yeah.
projected or like wanted weight gain throughout pregnancy. And as I like do my little thing and find myself on this chart, I'm like, I'm over.
Yeah, and you're
I'm
like, you
over
better
that.
do it again. I gotta do it
Right,
again.
right. And coming off of 5 egg retrievals and then going straight to transfer, like I was already higher than my normal weight. So 22 pounds to date is like incredibly crazy, and I'm 5'5". So I mean, that to me being an athlete and a woman has been a
Mm.
very rough go, and like my body doesn't do, the things. I'm out of breath talking, right?
Mhm.
My
Yep.
body isn't, I can't ask it to do the things that we've done before, and running right now is a gift.
Mhm.
Um, so I cherish every moment that he behaves and I'm able to run.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, it's been being an older first time mom, and I tell everybody, I swear my organs are just set in their ways and they don't really want to move.
Yeah.
Yep.
And then me, just feeling, the extra, I'm like rubbing my belly right now.
Ah,
Just feeling, the extra me that's there. And I mean, so grateful to have this little human growing inside of me, but um just this body is foreign to me, and
yeah.
it's
Yeah.
it's just it's hard to be so like in turmoil and so grateful and happy at the same time.
It's a lot of
Mm-hmm.
self-talk.
Yeah,
Yes.
It's a lot of self-talk
yeah,
that we engage in, I
Right.
feel like. As long as we have an ability to do that, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Well, and
100%.
that, and to Tracy's point too, with you, Emily, as well, like this, you have these two different thoughts, and it's like, that can bring up senses of guilt and like, all of that. So like, I shouldn't be thinking this way. I'm so grateful for this. Why am I thinking this way? And then we start getting hard on ourselves, like, you know, yeah,
yeah.
definitely.
All right, let's introduce Katie. Go for it.
Hi, I'm Katie. I have a daughter who is newly 2, and I have a son who's almost 10 months. So my kids are 15 months apart, so I've been very busy. I laugh when I told my in-laws I was expecting. My father-in-law goes, "Oh my gosh, you're pregnant and breastfeeding for like 4 years." Really. So yeah, it took us about 2 years to have our daughter. So it was a long journey to get her. And I was nursing her and like really adamant about it. Like, and I just feel you so hard on, like, you just give up so much of yourself to do that. And I was so dedicated. And then I hit 7 months, or we hit about 6 months, and thought, okay, like, took us a while. Maybe we'll think about it. And then bam, number 2. which was unfortunate because I really struggled then with giving. I weaned because my supply just tanked, and that was devastating. And then again, like never really had my body like recover, like physically. I just never even felt like I'd gotten back to like myself and who I was and clothes fitting. And then here I was like jumping into pregnancy too. My doctor finally had to say to me, like, it's time. Like, you got to focus on yourself and your next pregnancy. So I had my son last June. And I am still nursing and pumping and doing all of that. And you are right. It is all time consuming all the time. It doesn't matter where you are, what you're doing. Like, that is the first thing that comes to your mind. And I feel like with this time around, now that I'm like 10-ish months, I feel like I'm slowly starting to fit into my clothes, but that is not the only thing that matters. Like, the things that do fit don't feel like me anymore. That's where I'm like, you change as a person, you change your identity in a lot of aspects. And I didn't realize that like my clothing or what I wear, how I look has become such a difficult transition. Just being functional, right? Moving forward. Everything I buy, I'm like, can I nurse in this? Can I carry it in this? Like stuff like that. So I'm so busy right now.
Katie, it's funny you mentioned that about clothes, and I don't know, is it a psychological thing? Because I had that same experience where 2 months ago or whatever, I was like, oh, I got to get swimsuits. And it was automatically, I got to get a one-piece black swimsuit. That's what moms wear. And that's what I got to do. And it was like, because it was like, I now feel like if I wear a bikini, like, ooh, not only, and I don't mean that like in a negative body image stance, but more so like moms can't wear bikinis.
Interesting.
Like more of just, where all of a sudden my brain and you put a bikini on and you're just kind of like, this doesn't feel right. Something about my body has changed. Even my weight might be the same, or like the clothes might fit, but it looks differently. And I don't know if it's in my head or if it is a physical thing, but it feels physical. And again, your chest is bigger and all of the things, but still, it is really weird with clothing. So that's a good one we can tackle for sure.
Definitely.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. Well, we can talk about that right now.
Yeah, let's do that one right now.
Yeah.
Well,
But-
and I
yeah.
with that, because, and we'll open it up to the floor, but let me just throw this one other point out there and then let's have conversation. It leads me to think of, we have mom bots. And when you resort to social media or conversations with friends and family, a mom bod is not a thing. It's not mentioned. It's not, it doesn't exist. We are not allowed to have a mom bod. However, it is very okay for dads or men to have dad bods. And it's comical to many people. Oh, you've got a dad bod, or you're wearing dad clothes or what. And it's like, wait, time out. They didn't do anything.
Right.
So their body changes and that's okay.
Yeah.
And it is okay, but to the world, it's okay to have a dad bod and be acceptable, but to have a mom bod, that's a problem. So let's open this conversation. Does anyone want to kick it off and start?
Okay, so I feel like I'm 20.
Do it.
Like people, are like Annie, you're saying, I think people are trying to be more accepting, but like, do we see it happen? Like, you look amazing, you look so great, this and that, and maybe don't feel great, but you're like, okay, I'm sustaining life, I'm right. But then post, you don't really get that as much. And I think
or it's, you look really great, you've lost the
Or
baby.
just having a baby.
Right.
Yeah.
Or that. Right.
You look really great, you just had there's always that but in there, something. And it's like, wait, can I just not look great?
Right. It's such a good point.
Yeah. Sorry, continue.
That was it. Like, I just feel like we try, but it's the but. It's the, well, you had a baby, or you wear this because that, or, well, you look good, but you just had a kid, or whatever. I feel like people are trying, but it's not the same.
Yep, 100%. Emily, did you comment in there? I heard you.
Yeah, I was like, you look great, but or not but for just having a baby, or in my case, like putting on clothes is just a situation every day. And it's, I'm sure it's me more than anyone else, but it's like, it's fine, you're pregnant, you're supposed to. I'm just like, "Mm." Or the ones that are like, you can't even tell, you look the same. And I'm
That's not good
thinking,
either.
excuse me? Like, do
Right.
I really have a false sense of like what I look like normally?
Right?
So yeah,
Or are you saying
clothing,
I'm not
clothing and
taking
me.
care of my unborn child?
Right, right. So yeah, it's clothing has been a huge struggle for me through this
Mm.
process.
And
Yeah.
it can change, like, one day something is totally fine, and the next day you're like, "Nope,
Right,
that's not gonna
right.
work." And then
Oof.
you're shopping or you're, like, trying to find something, or you're just in sweatpants all the time, which is fine.
Yeah.
Which is
Right.
but, it's hard. I mean, luckily, you work from home, but Katie as a teacher, you can't wear sweatpants to work, right?
So hard. I spent a lot of time like trying to buy like secondhand things or trying to wear what I had. But then again, it goes to that fact of like you don't feel like yourself. Like you're like, I look frumpy or I look this, and you want to try to feel good. And then I won't lie, like the postpartum wearing maternity clothes, like really in essence, I wore maternity clothes after
I've
because
been
Yeah.
doing that.
I didn't realize that was a thing. Like my second time around, I felt way better and more confident. But the first time I packed like normal clothes to go home from the hospital, I'm like, why did I wear this? Done that sooner. But that was again feeling bad about myself. Like I have to put on my maternity clothes. But now that I feel like I've learned more after, subsequent pregnancies, it makes total sense. But yeah, even people don't talk about like the finances, buying more clothes,
Yeah.
Mhm.
and struggling to do that. And then I don't know about you guys, but like finding like cute maternity or postpartum stuff, that was so hard that you felt
Mm.
Yeah, 100%.
on chat market.
Well,
It
it's just interesting, like just the labels everywhere, right? Like pre-pregnancy, maternity, post-maternity, like we have all of, and then we have all of these ideas of what that should and should not look like. And so then, like to your point, Katie, when you were saying like, it's like almost you were like, it sounded like there was even like almost shame, like I shouldn't be wearing maternity clothes. I had my baby. Now it's different. It should be different immediately, like the second after. Like there's so many like judgments around, all of that. Yeah.
Yep.
That so many of us don't realize that that's a thing. Like, we need to talk about this more.
Right.
Why would I think that I'm going to be going home in my normal old pre-pregnancy clothes? So it's like, that's not,
Mhm.
and it should be okay that we know that.
Yeah.
That it's talked about. Right.
Yeah.
100%.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, my team's Tracy, what's your experience with the mom bod, dad bod, clothes, all of this?
I guess because my relationship with my body has always been toxic, I think. Like I was saying earlier, I mean, from a young age, that I struggled with it too. And one thing I really struggled with, which I think doesn't get any attention, is breast size.
Oh,
Because you go up so much. Breasts are what, a sex symbol before we have a baby. You
Mhm.
have a baby and then they're big and they're heavy and they have milk in them and you don't want it's it society always seems to judge breasts on like sexiness, and then you have a baby and they change.
Oh, huge. I didn't realize.
No, and then you wait until you stop lactating and then you're like,
Why?
so one of the things that I looked forward to was a mommy makeover, right? So they launch all that stuff at the plastic surgeon's office, and it's something that you chase. So I had a mom bod makeover. I've had the breast lift and reduction. I've had a mini tummy tuck. I've had a full tummy tuck, and I feel like I'm chasing my tail because I'm never happy enough. There's nothing that is going to take away this mom body, and instead of embrace it, we're not supposed to embrace it. We're supposed to fix it. And that's kind of where I'm at. And it's like, and the peanut gallery always has something to say, like, oh, so you can get another surgery. And it's like, you want me to look this way, society wants me to look this way, I would be more sexy to my husband, people would judge me less, but then if I do it, it's like, ugh, also judge. It's like this huge box of judgment. But I mean, I don't think I'm ever going to get what I'm looking for, if that makes
Yeah,
sense.
you're damned if you do and you're damned if you don't. I mean, at the end of the day, whether you decide to do physical changes, at the doctor, or you decide, you're just going to accept your mom body, then you've given up, or then, then it's just like, It's like, what do you want from me? But the question we have to answer is, why do people care so much about what any one of us
Yes.
is doing?
Yes.
I don't know.
You know, I mean, sure, it's one thing for you to care about yourself, as you know, everyone has an idea of what they want to look like and all of that, right or wrong, you know, because then we're, you know, then we're crossing over into that, you know, eating disorder world, but and body dysmorphia. But at the end of the day, why anyone cares about what someone 3 doors down from them looks like is mind blowing. And again, is that social media driven? I'm not sure. But it's not okay to have a mom bod, and it's not okay to look good after you've had a baby.
Mm-hmm.
But don't try too hard to look good, because then you're trying too hard.
Correct.
Mm-hmm.
You
Right.
have to look good by chance. You just have to start looking good. You can't fix it. You should just look good.
Right. Right. Yeah. And,
Yeah.
and like you said, if you lose weight too quickly, then you've done something wrong. If you're, you know, you haven't lost any weight or you gain weight, you're doing something wrong. Everything comes back to all the things you're doing wrong. And
So
it doesn't help.
I'm curious about comments. Like Tracy, you had mentioned a comment that somebody had made to you, and I'd like to hear if there have been others. But yeah, Katie made big eyes, so clearly she's like, "Oh, I've heard a few."
Yeah, because so with my second, okay, again, like someone said to me, "Wow, you're really big. Are you having twins?"
Oh my God.
But like the wow, you're really big. Like
Yeah.
what? Why is that a necessary? Oh my gosh, I just
But like, you
picture people,
cannot
like,
help the size of your
Yeah.
uterus change. Like,
yeah.
it has nothing to do with what we eat.
I was like almost 9 pounds. Like he was a big boy when he was born, but I just was surprised that comments like that are still being said. So yeah.
Well, and I think that there is, again, females do this just as much as males can do this. And I think that when we say comments, I think a lot of times we're hearing them from females, honestly, but we're still kind of like objectifying the female body. Like it's a thing that we just get to talk about. We just get to talk about what this thing is. Do you see what I'm saying? Like it's really interesting. It's like we're forgetting that that's a human being that has feelings, that's living in this thing that is different right now. Like there's no sensitivity to that other person and what their experience is, you know?
Nicole,
I
I
feel
don't
like we
know
are
if,
kind of objectified.
oh yeah,
What's
go ahead.
that?
Tracy.
I do feel like we're kind of, I mean, when I was pregnant, people came up to me and put their hand on my stomach.
Absolutely.
Like-
Like you're a thing to play with. Yeah.
Like, who are you? Like,
Right.
no, like get your hand off us. Like,
Like,
ew.
Major
I wouldn't
boundary,
go up to you and do that.
right?
Yeah.
You're a
Some
thing.
people really love that, and that's fine. But like, there's a lot more people who don't, and it's so important to ask, you know, like, can I touch your belly? You know, like that's just you know, Emily, have you had that experience?
Yes. The worst offender is my fiance's dad. And I know that he is like, it's coming from a place of like total love, but he like comes at me.
Oh no.
I'm
Oh
just like,
no.
you know, everyone else is like, can I touch? Can I? And I'm like, you know, if it's a person that I deem okay, yes, you can.
Right.
Well-
And I feel like, again, if they're asking and you feel you want to say no, good. And if you don't, you know, like set your own boundaries, but like it is really weird when random people they just go.
Yeah, I haven't had a rando at the grocery store
Like,
or
oh
anything,
my
but
God, what are you
thank
doing?
goodness. Yeah, I would probably, my hand would go to their face, I think.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Like, oh
And
no.
it should. It
And
should. It should.
And
Yeah.
to your point about, you know, Katie and Tracy, you had this experience as well with someone commenting about belly size and if you're having twins or not. You know, the way I've coached my clients in the past, not only in this situation, but also with eating disorders, when, you know, they get a comment that is negative about them, to throw it back at that person, you know. So in this case, you know, someone tells you or asks you, you know, are you having twins? No, are you?
Right.
And again, knowing my personality as you all do, sounds very in line, but it gives people that like quick, like, oh shit, I just judged someone.
Yeah.
Because I don't think people realize they're doing it.
Mm-hmm.
They're just making conversation. They're thinking that they're right. Hey, you must be having twins.
Mhm.
They have no concept of physiological change, that our size is not indicative of what we're eating
Mhm.
or not eating. It has nothing to do with that.
Right.
So it's, that's just something funny to think about, and just throw that out there to people. Emily, if you experience that, just throw it right back at them. It's tough.
Right. Well, I've been lucky enough that like my biggest food aversions have been like candy and sweet stuff. And yet here we are. So like it just goes to show, right? Like it's not like I'm sitting around eating junk food, like
Mhm.
very conscious of what I'm putting in my body because I'm feeding this growing little person.
Mhm.
So
And
my
all of
body's
us,
just doing what it's doing.
Right.
I bet
yeah,
I
exactly.
can't I have no control over this.
Of course.
We all had different weight gains, I would imagine. And we all may have eaten the same.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Do you know what I mean? It's all very, very arbitrary.
Mhm.
Like there's
And
sometimes
I feel like I have to justify it to people too.
Yes.
Mm.
It
And this is where that objectivity
Mm.
piece comes in, right? Like we have to justify what you're eating or not eating, or if you
how
want a
often I'm
bag of chips
exercising.
or candy, that the retort shouldn't be, oh, are you having a craving? No, I just want a fucking bag of chips.
Right. I mean,
Yeah.
pretty weird.
Sorry. Like that. And that's part of these assumptions that society makes.
Mhm.
Well, I think too, postpartum too, and we talk about like nursing, not nursing, whatever, like your body's recovering. It's like you're eating, and I do find like I'm hungry all the time. Like I'm
Mhm.
A bottomless
Yeah.
pit.
all the time. Like, and again, like especially I think especially with nursing, it's constant. It's
Yeah.
constant. And in the beginning, like, and I don't know about you, but like I literally kept granola bars in the nursery dresser drawer. Like that constant. And then you feel guilty and you feel bad, and you're like, well, I should try to be recovering and getting better and losing this weight and getting my clothes to fit and whatever. And I just think that that's a difficult thing that isn't talked about as much, as how you are truly now eating to sustain feeding another person. Like that is a
Yeah.
lot.
Right. And if you don't eat enough, now you won't produce as much.
That's right.
So it's again another negative loop that we end up in. And it's trying to, accommodate all of these, assumptions about us, that okay, we got to lose the weight, we got to do the things, and yet we want to provide for our child, which means we got to eat, and we got to eat enough carbohydrate, protein, fat, all the things. And
Right.
we are a bottomless pit with nursing,
Mhm.
100%. Which Katie, let's really quick, let's talk about bounce back culture, because you've talked about this before on social media. And while we're kind of here touching on it, let's talk about bounce back. What do you want to talk about, what that means and what that means to you and everything?
I think we just see it a lot okay, so like I know someone who posted, I think like a week or two after having a baby, fit in my postpartum jeans, yay. And just it's that celebration of like, yay, you're back to where you were, you look great because you just had a baby, and your body's going to bounce back to where it should, and that's awesome. And I think it's great to celebrate people getting back there, but I don't think, maybe it's just my opinion, but in my opinion, I don't think the majority of women ever go back
Mhm.
pre-baby body. I just don't. And
Maybe weight on a scale.
maybe, but just not the way you look, the way you feel. So I think the bounce
Mhm.
back culture being celebrated can be a little toxic, because those of us, I would put myself in the category, like there is no way I will ever look or be the same as I was, even before, just nothing. And so it's hard. It's really hard watching that being celebrated amongst a lot of women. I get it. It's great. I'm happy for you.
Well, and
But
I just want to add to that, because if you're losing all the weight you gained in pregnancy in 2 weeks, I feel
Yeah.
sorry for that child.
well,
Clearly something's not right.
and this sounds bad, but is it? Were they trying to shove in and make it look? And
True.
Shove in.
I remember, right? Like, well,
Take the picture quick.
newborn photos, I'm like, oh my gosh, I gotta look decent. And I think it's hard when you see that portrayed and then it's not reality. Like it's nice,
Sure.
Right.
authentic, and say, look, like Like there's a really great young mom I follow. She got 5 kids and she's just like, she's 6'5", 6 months postpartum, and she wears clothes that fit. And she's like, look, I still got my belly. This is how it is. This is the reality. And I need to see more of that, that reality. So women are feeling better about themselves.
Mhm. Yeah.
Physiologically, our bodies change in ways we can't control. Your hips are going to get wider
Mhm.
and they're probably not going to go back. Your breasts
Right.
are going to get bigger and the tissue's going to spread.
Mhm.
Like they're we can't make them go back. If I could, I would, but you can't control it. Like
Mhm.
I'm not sure. And that's great if they can fit back in their jeans. I mean, hey, that's wow. But is it great? I mean, I can't
Who is
control
it
it.
great for?
Right, exactly.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know, but I don't see how your body can ever go back to the way it was before it created a life.
Mhm.
Your organs are moving and your pelvis is stretching and
Mhm.
a lot of people's feet get bigger. I mean,
Yeah.
so should we shrink our feet like because we're not the way we were, like our feet not as pretty? You can't. And that's so frustrating.
Well, and
Mhm.
I went and did pelvic floor, whatever, PT, per recommendation. And, I'm there and she's like, your abdominals have separated and la la la. And I was
Mhm.
like, what now? Like, what happened? And they're not going to go back? This is not going to change? We cannot physiologically change it. We had a child inside of us, and to experience that, I mean, it's not gonna, we can do all the crunches we want. It doesn't matter, right? Um, at least in, maybe after so many years, or maybe if that's your 99% of your focus in life is to make sure you have abdominal muscles again, like if that's how you want to spend your time, sure. But otherwise, I think for most people who experience life, those physiological changes they're there, and we're stuck with them. And
Mhm.
and not in a negative way. I don't mean that in a negative way, but that's how it is. But again, we've got to bounce back. I have to recreate my abdominal tissue.
Mhm.
We have to fit into those genes. We got to bounce back to exactly who we were, not necessarily pre-pregnancy, but who we were maybe to people in our 20s or our teens or whatever image people have of us.
Mhm. Mhm.
And that's hard and impossible in many cases.
Right.
So,
Mhm.
Like I don't want to bounce back.
you're right.
I don't want to be that person. Like I think about me in my 20s. I'm like, oh gosh. No, I don't really. She was great, but I like who I am. Yes, I struggle with like again my physical sense, but I like being a mom. I love my kids. I'm so grateful. I feel so blessed. All those things that I don't want to go back to that yet. I'm not feeling like that's the necessity. So it's hard and that's being celebrated. And you're like, but I'm different and I want to be this different person and that's okay.
Mhm.
Mhm.
Emily, given I experienced where you're at not too long ago, I had a lot of that same self-talk that you're having as well with, body change and oh my God, this is really hard, and just constantly thinking, but it'll be fine. It'll be fine. It'll be good. I'll have the baby. It'll be fine. We're gonna go back. It's good. And honestly, once you deliver and you get through the first month of really gross things that are going on, and you're kind of back a little bit more to yourself, just as a human, um, like Katie said, you want to just be a mom and kind of forget about the fact that your body looked the way it did, 10 months ago or whatever it was. And
Mhm.
so just, if you're, as someone who might be struggling with body image in pregnancy, it really is a cool, weird, I don't know if it's because of the physiological changes or if it's an emotional change, but like you see that baby and all you can think about is like, I'm good. It's fine if I
Mm.
go to the black one piece, like if I keep the extra weight on, you know what, it was worth it.
Mm.
And that's where, and even like in terms of running, maybe now it's just running for fun. And, you know, again, 10 months ago, I don't know if I'm okay with that. Now it's like, whatever, it's fine.
Right. Yeah.
So you know, it is really, Katie, to your point, things change and it's like, it feels good to be a different person.
Mm-hmm.
You're at a different stage. And again, that's, I think, something that a lot of people, society, they don't accept is stages of change.
Right.
Puberty's not okay. You know, being an
Right.
adult and like now 40 plus sort of a
Mhm.
thing, not okay. Getting older, menopause, not okay. What is okay?
But what is okay? That's the
Yeah,
thing.
right.
Like being 20 years old. Now that's okay.
Mm-hmm.
You know, that is
Forever.
that the only time, like, and why? We're really dumb at 20. Like, why? You know, like,
Yep.
Most of
yeah.
us don't have any money at 20
Well,
either.
yeah,
It's
too.
That
like
too.
that's not the place I really ever want to go
Right.
back to.
Mm-hmm. Yep. 100%.
But I'm always so curious on where these ideas and thoughts have actually, where they generated from, that somebody decided, like this happened, who knows how long ago, where society just accepted that it's not okay to have a baby and then look different. Like, when did that become a thing? Like, who decided, okay, now it's just not okay for women to have babies and you know, they can't look like they had a baby. Like, when did that become okay? You know, when you're talking about the bounce back whole thing where it's like, oh, I've arrived, I've bounced back. And anybody who can't do that is way less than myself. Like, oh, so sorry, you can't be here. Do you know what I mean? Like, why is that a thing? You know?
As a practitioner,
Very odd.
I don't remember ever having this as an issue 10, 15 years ago.
As much, sure.
But
I'm
that's as
sure
far as
social
I can go
media
back,
has so
you
much to
know.
do, but yeah, but I mean, you know, I don't know.
I don't remember my mom talking about that, you know, like
Yeah.
have like ever talking about that kind of stuff. And again,
Mhm.
that's, I think my experience at least would be thinking about it in that way. Like you're absolutely right.
Yeah.
When did this all become okay?
Mhm.
I remember my mom telling me a story because she encouraged me to lose the weight. And she told me a story, and I'm 46, so this would have been 46 years ago, how she starved herself to get back into the size. And I remember she said, I was craving an ice cream sundae one night, so I saved up all of my calories and didn't eat all day,
Mm.
so I could have that ice cream sundae. And so that kind of was ingrained in me that I needed to lose that weight quickly. And I don't blame her at all
Sure.
because I think society, I mean, I'm not going to blame it on
Well,
men.
and at
My
that
dad,
time in the 80s, that was been
yeah,
what was it,
was
80s,
late 70s.
late
Yeah. And it
70s,
was
yeah.
like, but then she handed that down to me. And
Mhm.
and I think sometimes that's where our thought process comes is, you look up to your mom and your mom
Mm-hmm.
carried you. And now your mom's saying, well, if you want an ice cream sundae, that's all you're going to eat that day. And it's like, oh, okay. Well, I like ice cream and that's my one meal.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Mhm.
Just the power of words that people have over
Mhm.
us.
Yeah.
Language makes a huge difference.
Mhm.
And I would say probably majority of people aren't strong enough to hear and just let it go
Right.
versus we let it sit and mull in there and really ruminate on all of that, and that becomes really challenging. And so when you hear comments postpartum, during pregnancy, about our bellies or what have you,
Mhm.
you know well, how are we supposed to take that?
Mhm.
100%.
Have any of you, Emily, may have not, obviously, but have any of you, postpartum received the "when are you due" comment? Like, you're
Well,
not pregnant anymore, but somebody thinks you're pregnant?
I didn't, but my best friend receives it all the time because she has a severe diastasis recti all the
Oh,
time. And she's
sure.
a physician's assistant. And I asked her, which was probably horribly inappropriate, but I was like, have you thought about, fixing it? Because it's a source of like frustration to her. And
Sure.
she said, no, I'm not going to fix my body because people want to make rude comments. And I've learned that unless you see a baby exiting a uterus, like you don't say, are you pregnant?
True enough.
But
Mhm.
I feel bad. She gets it every day. And it's like, why would you ask that question to
I
somebody?
know. Mhm.
But I give her a lot of credit for saying, no, I'm not going to undergo surgery because somebody thinks I'm fat.
Mhm.
right.
You know
And
what?
she probably isn't, you know what I
Right.
mean? Like
No,
Right.
no,
there isn't
she's
yeah.
not.
Yeah. Mhm.
I give her credit. You know, that takes a strong woman. And it's sad
Mhm.
that it takes a strong woman to do that.
Mhm.
Mhm. Right,
I
that
wore a
that
lot of
just
my
couldn't be.
husband's. I wore a lot
Mhm.
of my husband's t-shirts like in those first couple weeks. And I just, because it was like I didn't want to buy clothes. So I just kind of used his. And my sister gave me a couple pairs of sweatpants. So I mean, I think there's a lot of hiding that takes place that, postpartum late in that first week or so, when you still do kind of, look and feel pregnant, and your uterus is shifting and everything. I hid. And I
Mhm.
don't think I purpose, where you're like, I gotta hide. It was just from a comfort standpoint.
Yeah, yeah. Mhm. Mhm.
So I assume that's probably a little bit more why I didn't see any of those comments.
Mhm. So I guess if going through these processes, and all of you have been through it at least partially and fully, um, what would you give either your younger self advice on, or at least someone else who has not yet gone through this process? What kind of encouraging words would you even give them?
Katie, why don't you start?
Oh my gosh, I don't even know where to start. Uh, I mean, I tell myself a lot, and I feel like it's like a classic line, but like I always say, like, you can do hard things, and like you just got to give yourself a lot of grace. And Annie, when you said like comfort, so like I never got any postpartum comments like, "Are you still pregnant?" But like, just have to do what you are comfortable with, whether it's a clothes you're wearing, whether it's saying no to visitors, whether it's like we love our families, we're so close with them, but we had a hard rule both times, like no visitors at the hospital. Just like it's
Mhm.
that's like the best thing, like setting boundaries for yourself, whatever that means, and being very clear about them. I still struggle with this, but like not feeling guilty about
Mhm.
things. I think just like again, not feeling guilty about their clothes, not feeling guilty about what you're wearing, about how you're feeling, right? Like
Yeah.
I had my daughter, I just like cried a lot for like
Mhm.
a week and or two. And I remember at my 6-week postpartum saying to my doctor, like, good thing you didn't call me 2 weeks in because I just couldn't stop crying.
Mhm.
Don't know why, right? Like, unfortunately, I did struggle with any like postpartum anxiety, depression, but just like you're all over the place. So, not feeling bad about things. It's all going to be okay. Um, Giving yourself a lot of time and grace. And again, social media can be great. I will say, I learned a lot of like postpartum care and pregnancy tips and things from helpful people, but just taking things with a grain of salt and knowing that everyone's going to have their own opinion. There's a lot. There's a lot. I'm still
That's
learning.
awesome.
I love that. I like that piece. And like Annie, I'm an educator, and so I like to learn. I like to, educate myself on new stuff. So I think you're always learning. It's a process, and I've learned that that's a really cool part of, pregnancy and postpartum and parenting is everything is a process for me too. Like I'm still learning at the same time.
Mhm. Mhm.
I love that.
Emily,
Tracy,
oh, sorry.
Emily, yeah, go ahead. Emily, you go.
S- I mean, I'm pretty in the process at the moment. But something that I definitely think is important is just being grateful. Just you know, every day is a new opportunity, doing your best each day, um, not being too hard on yourself. Reach out when you need to. There's everyone's got supportive people in their corner, and utilizing them is huge because I think people want to be there, but they also want to give you space if you need it. Um, yeah, I don't know. I try to be nice to myself every day.
Good,
Good.
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 That's good.
Yeah. Tracy?
I think grace is like a key word,
Mhm.
allowing yourself grace, but also allowing yourself to do what you feel you need to do to achieve the goal that you set for yourself, whether that be leaving the baby with your husband or wife for, 45 minutes while you go to the gym or take a walk, or whether it be having a tummy tuck. What you feel you need to do, as long as you're not doing it for somebody else, as long as you're doing it for yourself and your intentions are true to yourself, I think that we just have to give ourselves grace and, accept what we feel we need to do and not feel guilty about it. I feel like new moms can be like like guilted so easily.
Mhm.
What you
Mhm.
should do. Well, you shouldn't go to the gym if your baby needs you. Well, my husband can watch my baby.
Right.
And like so many times, oh, so many times. Oh, are you gonna have your husband babysit the baby? Will you go? Well, like no, because that's their dad. So they don't baby parent.
Yeah.
It was like
Yeah.
how many times I got that? I'm like, no, I'm going to the gym because I want to, and my husband can watch his daughter.
Mhm.
So just allowing yourself grace and to do what you feel you need to do to feel good.
Tracy, that's funny. I just got that the other day. I got it the other day from an older a generation above me.
Uh,
Words. It was literally in a text like, "Will he babysit?" I responded, "No, he will not babysit. He is their father, and he can spend time with the kids." I couldn't.
Delete. I want to answer this really quick because I'm Tracy, I don't know when, so I guess you had a child 8 years ago. I did the age answers the question for me, but Emily being a little bit older and I was older too with a pregnancy. It's very different, I'm gonna imagine, from my 20s to my 40s. In my 20s, I imagine I would have had 5 children and everything would have been smooth
Mhm.
and wonderful and all of the things, and the way life ends up going is certainly not how you think, and you end up near 40 or in your 40s. And I've never experienced anything like it, and I don't mean that in like a, oh, it was the best thing in the whole world. It's fucking painful.
Yeah.
And the first thing I said to Brian after was like, I'm not doing that ever again. And everyone says, oh, you're gonna forget about it. And I'm like, maybe in my 20s I would have forgotten about it. But
Yeah.
I remember now. I
That,
know what
that's an
that was
interesting
like.
point.
But
Yeah, that's an interesting point.
and I think
Yeah.
where my body is at, as opposed to my 20s, I don't know if I want to take it through that again, not because of the change, but just it was hard. Like it was fast, but it was just, oh, you're an ultra runner, you'll be fine. No, it still hurt. It hurts. It hurts. So,
Yeah, it's unneeded pressure, right?
yeah,
Mhm.
yeah, where it was just, like, I'm good having one. It's so that mindset from 20s to 40s, like to just again, we use that word grace. Have grace. If you weren't able to have children in your 20s or your 30s and you're in your 40s, like embrace it and love it and understand that where you were at in your 20s and 30s might look different now. Like I wanted a whole gaggle of children. I would have had all of the children in the world. And now it's like I'm good. We can't, like I can't. So it's like I'm gonna have pets now and a
Yeah.
child, and that's okay. But it's the difference between 20s and 40s looks very different. And the other thing I want to bring up, no one tells you about infants being purple.
Mhm.
And that was one of the hardest things for, not so much for me, it was hard when you're exhausted, but for Brian as a husband, that was, he couldn't do anything. You
Mhm.
cannot help your child. And so that whole concept of being purple for 6, 8 weeks, that's hard until they're out of that stage. So again, your doctor doesn't tell you about it. No one tells you that your child is going to be impossible in the evening for so many weeks. So that's, I think, something, again, allowing yourself grace and just, you plan a workout at whatever time in the afternoon, your child might not be ready for you to do that yet. You just might need to hold them or whatever, and to not feel guilty about it. Because I think a lot of us do feel guilt in pregnancy and postpartum. And even beyond postpartum, I think moms feel a lot of guilt for doing things for themselves.
Mhm.
Uh, and to remember to take time, and self-care is really important. And that's not just an hour or a half day. It's okay to take more time than that. So let's throw my 2 cents in there.
Yeah.
Pregnancy hurts.
Yes. Well, and so much of what we all agreed on today and talked about today too is just the amount of pressure and the amount of even expectation and the amount of everything that we put on ourselves as women, but then add the label of mom on it, and it like you know, just skyrockets, what we experience and then what we think we can and can't do, shouldn't do, and what other people are thinking you should and shouldn't do, and all of that. It's
Mhm.
ridiculous, actually. But I mean, it's a real thing. So yeah, excellent word, Tracy. Grace. Grace.
One thing that might lead us to a part 2 here is to start thinking about support networks.
Mhm.
I was always under this impression that if you use your support networks, parents, brothers, sisters, other adults, you're weak. You're not
Mm.
doing the
Oh,
right
that's
thing as a
interesting.
parent.
Huh.
I love my parents right now.
Yeah.
Like,
Jeez.
we have a better relationship since having a baby.
Mm.
And I lean on them more than I ever have, and that's new for me. I think it's new for them. But there is that, there's a societal pressure of, you got to do it. Don't do that. You don't need help. You should be able to handle this. You wanted to be like all of that kind of thing. So just somewhere to go in another conversation down the road, I think
Mhm.
would be pretty cool.
Yeah, yeah. Well, and it does take a village, like they said. It's good for the child to have different, experiences with other people. And, I think that's a good thing.
Mhm.
It's a good thing for you to have some space, though, too.
That is
So,
well.
yeah. Well, just in closing, we always ask this of all of the people that we interview is so we could ask two different things, I think. Was there a food that you craved the most during your pregnancy? And currently, what is your favorite food? Just for fun. Who wants to start?
Tracy, go ahead.
Okay. So I craved two things really interesting. I craved apples,
Sweet.
which I mean,
I
they're
know, right? Like,
the
dang
other
it.
thing I craved and probably contributed to my 50-pound weight gain is Oreos, and I eat them by the sleeve.
Yeah.
But one of the weirdest things is that my husband's mom craved them too. Like
Oh,
I didn't know
wow.
about it. We were talking at one point. She's like, I craved Oreos too.
Oh, wow.
Wow.
I know, it's so weird. And I still eat them, but not like that. I think my favorite food now is anything I shouldn't eat, and you should eat everything. But I'm a cupcake person. Sweets.
Oh,
Sweets.
cake and cupcakes in particular. Yeah.
Mhm.
Cool. Cool. Emily?
So I've had very boring cravings throughout pregnancy. I can't get enough like carrots and peppers and
Oh.
cucumbers and apples and bananas and frozen fruit. Oh, I so it's like all these great things, right? I did have an Oreo craving the other day and I went and bought them and then my boys ate all of them. So, I mean, I got them and I had like this like urge that I needed to go to the store and get them. And then the sweet stuff like that, this obviously fruit and all of that is very sweet, but the actual cookie part of it, once I had it in my hands, I'm like, nah, no. And funny enough, I had my 1 hour glucose test on Monday, which I failed by 2 points
Mm,
and I took and passed the 3 hour this morning.
Good.
So
there you
that's
go.
a whole other thing, right? Of expectations. I wasn't worried about that.
Hmm.
And you're fine.
And you're
That'll
fine.
learn you,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Nicole, you remember me calling you
Oh,
up
I do.
and-
Yeah.
Oh my God. Yep.
It's okay.
totally
It's
get it.
okay.
That's good. Okay. I craved in both my pregnancies lemon lime Gatorade.
Nice.
Very random, maybe like a throwback to the 90s
Mhm.
sports drinks at games. And then with my daughter, it was Cocoa Puffs towards the end.
Oh, fun. Mhm.
Really random.
Yeah.
I will say I am a huge like pasta,
Oh.
mac and cheese, just cheese, butter, noodles, anything eater all the time. That's my favorite food.
Fun.
And so, and I talk about guilty, right? In pregnancy, I felt less guilty because I ate it all the time. Yeah, that's a good topic. I ate it all the time whenever I wanted. I didn't feel bad about it because I was carrying a child, but I could still do the same now. And I would too, but I feel
Guilt.
worse.
No. Yeah.
But that's my favorite food.
Emily,
Nice.
what's your favorite food? You never said.
Oh, I pay for it every day, but the spicier the better.
Oh.
Followed by 2 Tums.
Oh gosh, yeah.
Yeah. But like drinking water gives me heartburn right now too. So
Oh,
I'm in a lose-lose.
yeah.
So I
So
might as well eat the
whatever.
spicy food.
Yeah.
Yep.
Baby
Right.
likes spicy.
Nice, nice, nice.
That's amazing.
And what about you, Annie?
I didn't have many cravings in pregnancy. I did eat a lot of apples. So like fluidy thing, like
Mm.
cold and like liquid foods, not
Mhm.
like, you know, like not like Gatorade, like not that liquid, but just like your fruits, things that
Smoothies.
had water content.
Mhm.
I really enjoyed. But I would say my cravings hit like more now with nursing and pumping, where it's like I just want something really, really cold, whether it's like it could be a soda, a watermelon, or just something that has that hot cold sensation. Um, and also like soft serve ice cream. Not every day, but once in a while, it's just like we're going to Costco and I'm getting an ice cream. Like because they have the
Mhm.
best. So that's where I'm getting it more in nursing,
Yeah.
which
Interesting.
again, everyone's hormones are so different.
Yeah.
It's funny to hear. And like I had my best friend, all she ate was peanut butter when she nursed. That
Oh
was it.
wow.
Yeah, so I mean, it's just funny. And I tried it because I was hungry during the night. I'm like, I'll try peanut butter. It didn't do it for me.
Yeah.
So, I think everyone's really different, it's cool. But,
Mhm.
again, like we'll talk about, it's not acceptable, of course.
Right.
And then of course, I think everyone knows my favorite food is probably pizza, although lately French fries have been making an
Oh,
appearance a bit more.
nice. Nice.
So,
Super
together
fun.
is okay.
Yeah.
So,
That's awesome.
yep.
Well, thank you all for joining us today. This has been great, and hopefully it can help open up conversations for others as well. And thanks everybody for your nice words of advice. I think that was really sweet. So thank you again for joining us. We so appreciate your time.
Thank you.